Hello, welcome to the Intro to Student Organizations training. My name is Courtney Laukitis. I am the Program Manager to Student Organizations in the Office for Student Involvement and Leadership. This training is one of the requirements for the SOAR program that is required to be completed by all presidents and treasurers in order to become an active student organization on campus. To go over some housekeeping items before we get started, you'll need to keep your Engage form nearby and complete the questions on each page as we go through the presentation. This will count as your attendance in completing the training for your organization leadership position. You will also need to make sure that you've completed the organization and position information on the contact info page of the Engage form to ensure that you've indicated all positions that you hold as the president and treasurer for your one organization or for all organizations. So if you're the president of 3 organizations, please be sure that you've indicated that on the page before this. Because this is a pre-recorded video, you are welcome to watch or listen to the video. If you're an auditory learner and you want to just kind of listen along, that's totally fine. Or if you're like me and you're more of a visual learner, I encourage you to read through the pages as we go through the presentation. Lastly, we will be grading the presentations this year, and so you will be required to have an 80% or better. I will indicate to you on Engage and via email what those grades are. And so don't worry about the grade itself. If you need to retake the training, I will indicate that to you on Engage. Because this is a recorded training, you obviously are welcome to start, stop, fast forward, or rewind the presentation at any time. And you also can start and stop your Engage form if you need to take a pause and complete it at a later time. If you need assistance with that, please send me an email and I can help you out with navigating that on Engage. So let's go ahead and get started. The overview. Let's talk about where we're going in this presentation. We're going to go over some introductions. We'll talk about the support that you can receive as a student organization from the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership. We'll do an overview of SORT and talk about some broader things within the program. And then we'll also dive into some deeper things like definitions, requirements, schedules, and statuses. We'll talk about student organization requirements, what it means to be an active organization, and some of those perks. And of course, we'll talk about leadership changes because it's the inevitable and it's probably going to happen. So I'll give you some tips on how to navigate that process. And then, of course, we'll wrap it up with the next steps to completing your trainings. So introductions. The Office of Student Involvement and Leadership is made up of 5 professional staff. We also currently have 2 graduate assistants, and so the Office of 7 is really who runs the whole kit and caboodle of student involvement and leadership. So we start here with our director, Eric Corbett. He is the director of the entire student union, the student involvement and leadership, and campus recreation. Debbie Lamp is the Associate Director of Student Involvement and Leadership. She primarily oversees homecoming, first weekend, Community Student Association, UAB, Guardian, WWSU, and a number of other responsibilities. Gina is the Program Director of Fraternity, Sorority Life, and Leadership, so she helps out with creating some of our leadership programs and doing the Student Leadership Awards and also overseeing the entire community of the Fraternity, Sorority Life. There's me, Courtney Laukitis, Program Manager of Student Organizations. My primary roles are to oversee the registration and training process, so the SORT program, and then I also help with approving your events on Engage. So you'll work with me throughout the entire academic year as you post your events to Engage. And I also help navigate the Engage platform. So if you ever have questions or need a training on Engage, I'm happy to provide that to you. And lastly, in terms of professional staff, we have Robin Johnson. She's our accounting clerk, and she is responsible for anything that deals with financial things within your organization. So like contracts and deposits and withdrawals and buying things, all things that are financial related. Robin is going to be the person who you work with for that. Support from student involvement and leadership. So what do we provide to student organizations? We provide you with leadership experiences and opportunities. And so that goes along with like what Gina provides within her role for established leadership retreat and Raider camp or take flight and all those different opportunities there. We also can provide you with accounting information. So if you need help understanding some of the depths of your account, we can help you with that and just help you with general information about your financing. We also have information on fundraising for your student organization. And so if you ever need support in that aspect, please come see us. Sometimes there's some conflict in student organizations. And so if you ever need a mediation or if you need to come work through a problem or vent to us, we are always here to help you navigate that process. Event planning is a huge one, especially with me overseeing Engage. And so if you have questions about, what it means to plan an event on campus, or if you have questions about like how to best fill out the Engage form, we can always help you with that. And of course, we help out with Constitution revisions and support. So you should always be reading your Constitution. You should be updating it almost every year. And if you ever need help navigating that, or if you want to edit it yourself and have one of us look at it, we're always happy to do that. The most important thing to know with our office is don't ever hesitate to ask for assistance and ask your questions. We are here to support you all the time. Stop by our office or connect with us via email, and we'll get you supported. Okay, so an overview of SORT. SORT, in and of itself, is a branded program for the registration and training process. It is designed to provide an intentional process in completing the registration application and the training. So this is what you have most likely already completed and what you will continue to complete as you're working through the trainings. The trainings most recently have been updated, and they obtain purposeful content to help you transition into your leadership role or roles. And lastly, SOAR is also focused on one thing and one thing only, and that is making sure that our student organizations are obtaining the active status. Diving more deeply into this, let's talk about the definitions. So we have a several types of tiers, if you will, and this is something that I had designed and created back in 2021 when I was developing this program, and we broke it down into 3 levels of tiers. We have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 1 organizations are typically our advisory boards and housing councils. So these are organizations that have a mission or purpose who are specific to an academic major, community, or group of students, or even an honorary group. They have different requirements in terms of the trainings that they complete, but they still have access to requesting funds through the special funding committee. Typically, they hold small events. They also support a specific group on campus, and they typically have like a smaller organization in and of itself. They are still required to complete those registration and training requirements, but it's just a little bit different layout than what our other tiers have to complete. Tier 2 organizations are what we call our registered student organizations, which is a very broad term, but it's our typical registered student organizations, fraternity sorority life organization, sport club organizations, and Boonshoft School of Medicine organizations. When we talk about RSOs or registered student organizations, think of like the typical abilities, tabletop, Black Men on the Move, Black Women Striving Forward, Miracle Makers, some of those, the traditional type of organization that you would see on campus. So tier 2 has a mission or purpose for many categories and interests on campus. They typically hold regular general and executive board meetings. They can receive funding from SOBC and or SFC. They typically have low to medium risk level events and fundraisers, hold a couple events throughout the academic year, participate in off-campus events. They sometimes travel. And of course, they have a full executive board required to have a constitution or bylaws, and then they are required to complete the registration and specific trainings to their tier. Tier 3 organizations are our coordinating organizations. So those would be organizations like Black Student Union, The Guardian, SGA, University Activity Board, RCA, Rainbow Alliance, some of those larger organizations. And they hold a mission and or purpose for large-scale reasons on campus. So they obtain large budgets from SOBC, and they also have some paid leadership positions. They hold medium and high risk events, have a high visibility on campus, and high accountability from the university administration, campus community, and campus partners. Most of the time, they have medium to high level of involvement in organization size. They also serve and advocate for the largest communities on campus and are required to have a constitution and or bylaws, required to have attend additional leadership programs and or trainings, and they are required to complete registration and specific trainings as well. So the SORT requirements. The requirements for trainings have changed a little bit. And so this is the list of trainings that you'll see here: Intro to Student Organizations, Leading an Organization, Banking with SIL, Managing Org Finances, Raiders Don't Haze, Policy and Procedure. From now on, we are going to be focusing on only requiring the president and the treasurer of each student organization to complete the specific trainings. So I've identified here the position and the topic, and then what tier level they will be completing. So just be aware of this information. This is also what you're receiving in your emails as is. So the email that you get for your trainings, for your initial trainings, and then also for your progress reports, you'll be getting a list of what you need to complete as the president and the treasurer of the organization. There will be other trainings available, and trainings is like a hard word because it's not like a training like you have to complete this in order to get credit. It's more of like a tutorial or like a supportive resource, and we'll be providing those for other positions that include vice president, the secretary, event coordinators, if there's any specific type of committee member that might need to be aware of some of these processes and information that we have at the campus. We'll be providing that via YouTube, and so we'll have information for you to share with those positions if they need a refresher or if they need information because this is their first time leading an organization or having a leadership position. We'll be supporting them in other avenues through other opportunities. Okay, so SORT schedules. There is a variety of ways that you can submit the registration and training requirements whenever your organization is ready. And so we have a number of opportunities that include the SORT primary, SORT secondary, fall, calendar, and spring. And so you'll see here on the screen that there's a set schedule for the dates that the registration applications and the trainings will be available. So please be mindful that if you are completing them now, and let's say that something happens and you're not able to complete the training requirements by the deadline, know that you will always have the next opportunity to complete those requirements. So if you don't complete something by August 15th, you'll have September to complete it. If you don't complete it by September, you will have the spring to complete it, and so on and so forth. So don't worry about, we want you to complete everything ahead of time so that you can be an active organization, you can get going as an org. But if things do happen, because life happens, just know that we're here to support you and we'll provide additional opportunities as well. SORT statuses. So statuses are assigned through Engage to our student organization, and they are as follows: active status, frozen status, locked, or inactive status. And the active status would be seen as like your green light, meaning that you've completed all of your requirements, you're good to go, you're active, don't worry about anything else, just be an organization for the next academic year. Frozen status is more of like a yellow light. And so this means that you or another position on your organization might be missing one or more requirements. So this is more of like a holding period. You'll be in the frozen status at the start of April for all of our organizations, or in November for our calendar organizations. And then you will stay in that frozen status until you have completed all of your requirements. If you ever hear of an organization being in a locked or inactive status, know that that's more of like a red light. So locked means that you are either in a probation period for some reason of, one reason or another, or the organization has not operated in 2 years, and so they get moved to the locked status before they are moved into the inactive status. Inactive status means that the organization does not operate on campus. So this is an organization that would have to go through a new process to become an organization again on campus. But we do have several organizations that are still listed as inactive status. Student organization requirements. These requirements are a little bit different than the SORT specific requirements. So let's dive into this. In order for a student organization to be deemed as registered and active on campus, each student organization must have completed the SORT requirements. So you're already into this process. You're already obtaining all of, this general student organization requirement. You've completed your registration application and you're working on your trainings. All student organizations are required to have a minimum of 1 president, 1 treasurer, 6 members, and 1 full-time faculty or staff advisor. Please also note that the president and treasurer are not permitted to be the same student, and that's for liability purposes and also just for good leadership in and of itself. The president and the treasurer are the most important requirements out of that whole list there. Your faculty or staff advisor is also very important, so that is also something that can, you can you can change advisors throughout the academic year. You're more likely to change a president or a treasurer. And so I'll go over later on in the presentation how to do a leadership change form and what that means for you. But just know that those are your minimum requirements to have one president, one treasurer, 6 members, and one full-time faculty or staff advisor. Additionally, some things that we are adding to this is that we are requiring every student organization to use the Engage platform. Now, most of our organizations are very familiar with Engage and utilize the Engage platform in a beautiful way, and we want to keep that moving forward into the future. Specifically, any event that you host as a registered student organization, whether it is in person, online, it is on campus, or it is off campus, you are required to submit an event form on Engage to request either space or access to be going on, that day trip or that overnight trip, or to be going down to, some students go to BJ's for Pizookie night as an organization. Whatever it might be, you are required to provide that event submission form. Additionally, you will be required to update and obtain your roster. And also remember that Engage is a platform that allows you to share documents, create election ballots, provide forms if you want to update like the gallery for photos, all that sort of thing. So we want you to utilize the Engage platform to the best of your ability. And we also recognize that Engage can be an overwhelming platform. And so we will again be providing additional trainings and resources throughout the academic year to help you get familiar and feel more confident in using that platform. Additionally, with the roster, you will all be required to upload an up-to-date roster to Engage by the following dates. Your first requirement will be by September 30th. Your second requirement will be October 30th, January 30th, and February 30th. These dates also align with the active status dates if you follow the SOAR schedule for when the trainings and registration applications are open. So if you complete either primary or secondary, your roster requirement will be September 30th. If you complete fall the SOAR requirements, October 30th will be your requirement, and so on and so forth. Please don't panic about this or be concerned about this. I will be facilitating this through Engage. I'm working with our involvement mentors in SIL to work with you on all of this, and we will be providing additional information later on. Just know that failure to upload an active roster by the deadline that we assign you to will result in a frozen status until completed. Active status perks. So what does it mean to be an active organization on campus? This means that you have ability to request space for meetings and events hosted by your organizations. You can apply for SOBC and or SFC funding. You can apply for bulletin board, display cases, or storage space. You can market your events. You can establish an account with the university, which means that your account is like your bank account, essentially. You can also apply for student leadership awards, which take place in the spring semester every year. You also can apply for student organization email accounts, and that's something that we work with CATS on. So we can either get you an email address or a Office 365 account, so that you can have a Teams account with your organization as well. And then you also can participate in campus-wide events like First Weekend, Raider Weeks, Fall Fest, Homecoming, April Craze, and more. So remember how we were talking about leadership changes. Leadership changes may happen, and that is perfectly fine. Be sure that you are following your constitution to know how to remove officers or members of your organization and to figure out how to hold your special elections for those vacant positions. Because the president and treasurer are the only required positions in order for you to be an active organization, once those leadership changes happen, you need to complete the leadership change form that's available on Engage and send me the information for the president and the treasurer so that I can send them the SOAR trainings. We will be working closely on that process, and so if you need more information or if you have questions on that, please send me an email. Send one of the involvement mentors an email as well. They can help you out with that process as well. The leadership change form is available under the campus links page on the homepage. So you have to scroll down almost to the bottom of the website in order to see the page, or in order to see that form there. Okay, so next steps. Let's wrap this up here so that you can get on to the rest of your day and the rest of the trainings. So the next steps, all you need to do is just continue to complete the SORT training requirements. The president, treasurer, and advisor will also receive weekly progress reports from me until you obtain the active status. So I'll send you typically every Friday, I send out an email to tell you where you're at, to tell you, where your treasurer, where your president is at, and then your advisor is also receiving that information to be an extra level of support. Additionally, once you receive that active status obtained email, you will see a ton of information in that email of info on how to get involved with experiences before and after the fall semester. So if you want to be involved in established leadership retreat, or if you want to help out with move-in, you want to volunteer for move-in, or if you want to participate in Fall Fest, I will provide those links for you so that you can sign up. I'll also have a list of additional resources for you to continue learning and observing in the transition process for your leadership role. Please note that if you do hold just as a reminder, if you hold a president or treasurer position in more than one organization, you are only required to complete the SORT trainings once per academic year. As long as you are indicating that on your forms, I try to cross-reference with my documentation to make sure that we're all good to go. But if I do happen to miss something, please send me an email and I will get that adjusted for you. So that's everything. I hope this information was super helpful for you. I hope it gives you a better insight into what SOAR is and who SIL is, and how we can help you be the best student organization possible. I am super excited to work with you all this academic year, and if there's anything else that I can help you with, please send me an email at courtney.laukitis@wright.edu, or if you forget how to spell my last name because it's very complicated, you can always send me an email at sort@wright.edu. And don't forget to give SORT a follow on Instagram. We're going to be utilizing that platform as a way to send information about tips and tricks, how-tos, best practices, all that good stuff. So I encourage you, if you're on Instagram, to give SORT a follow. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.